This is the 3-time Impact Wrestling X Division champion, the newest member of Bullet Club. I am the inevitable Ace Austin. And right now I want you to check out something on YouTube for me. If you're looking for some wrestling content on YouTube, go ahead and head over to the Nation Network. All right, they got some old school, they got some new school, and I'm willing to bet, chances are they've got something that you'll like. And that is inevitable.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, this Nation Network. I am Vince McSham, your host, and it is episode 3 of Ultra Pro Wrestling Update. Joining me, of course, it wouldn't be an update if we didn't have the developer himself. Here is Sam. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
All right. How was your WrestleMania weekend experience?
Well, you know, being in the UK, it doesn't start till, I don't know, 1 or 2, maybe even 3 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, I know. I saw the watch parties they were showing on WrestleMania where they would bounce to different countries and tell us what time it was.
Yeah, and they do this annoying thing on the network as well, where they've got like some panel show and it'll have some countdown. And so you end up saying, okay, well, I'll stay up and watch it. We've only got half an hour to go. And then the half an hour counts down. And then it just goes into some big video package. And, you know, it tells you, oh, we're not actually starting WrestleMania for another like 2 hours. And then you're like, oh, I go, all right, go to bed. I'll watch it tomorrow. So, yeah, I didn't stay up for it. I went to bed. I tried with the Royal Rumble to stay up for it. And it just completely threw my sleep off and everything. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that again. So,
yeah, it's rough.
So, okay. Yeah, I ended up watching the day one, the Saturday one, yesterday. The women's title match was insane.
It was pretty good.
And then, of course, you know, the Sunday happened last night. I've not seen it yet. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So
you don't know the outcomes or anything?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's hard when you're going through Twitter. You see some images and you try and just go, all right, okay, I'll just pretend.
All right, so I will say nothing then. I already made a little comment before we went on air, which won't make sense to you now, but it will later.
Right, okay.
I was talking about his fire escape plan of jumping out a window, and I told him to just make sure he doesn't end up like Shane McMahon, which he'll now understand when he watches it. Okay. So no more spoilers other than that. I thought you watched it, so next week we'll try that joke again, maybe get a laugh out of it. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said last week, we did a 2-hour show last week because that was the last one prior to the completion of Kickstarter. We're going to keep these to 30 minutes or less now because Sam's got a lot of work to do. We all want that getting done, so we're not going to tie them up. Some of these questions are a little lengthy. I'm going to be either concise or consolidating them, or maybe there's people that have like 5 questions instead of just one. We're going to pick one of the 5 just so we can get to at least everybody a little bit and move along. That said, go ahead.
I'll try and answer as quickly as possible as well.
Yeah, we're going to try rapid fire. Let's see. I've got wrong button. Something to share with you guys that Sam has sent over. And share screen. That's what I'm looking for. All right. We got some pictures of the team at work here. I'll let you. This is a nice one. I like this very much. So we're working on the box art right here. Yes?
Yeah. That's the retro style box.
Looks very familiar.
I should say the final version of that will be quite a bit different. There's Frank. That's
Frank. Looks like he's happy to be at work. You don't see a lot of that anymore.
He's not in the office today. This was a 3D version of the Hyper Focus games. I have a friend who was going to 3D print it, but
oh wow,
yeah, we're not sure if that's going to work out. It's quite the 3D printers aren't quite as reliable as we'd hoped.
So we're
not sure how that'll go.
And that would be for like something to put up on the wall or on your desk or something like that?
Yeah, just so that when we've got some people coming into the office, and so it's just to kind of give a little bit more of an official presence.
All right. Yeah, that'll be cool. And then what was that one back there? Ultra Pro. It's like
that's the Switch front cover, yeah.
Switch front cover. Oh, that's good because we have a question about that coming up. Kickstarter is done. You did really well.
Yeah. That's it, all wrapped up. And it's funny because now, of course, I'm getting loads of comments. Oh, I never saw it. I wish I'd known. We would have like donated and stuff. But people have been asking about that as well. That may be one of the questions.
It is one of the questions.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know. There's a thing called Slacker Backer, where people can contribute after the Kickstarter ends.
Slacker Backer. I like the name alone.
I've not looked too much into it. I don't even know if it's something to do with Kickstarter or if it's like a completely different company. I've not looked too much into it just yet. Just because everything's been very, very busy.
Yeah, I understand. So that's not something that's ready yet, but it might be something up in the future.
Yeah, I'm going to look into it as soon as I've got a chance.
Excellent. Slacker Backer. Remember that word. More to come. We will follow up. All right, let's jump into our questions here and start banging them out. Let me get back to the top of this list. That's pre-reading to help save me a little bit of time as well. Got people like, hey, it's me saying congrats on the success of the campaign. Got Keith O'Toole, can't wait to see more of the stuff that we've been doing here on the channel that promotes the game and Hal's artwork. J-Rocks, my buddy, says, I know that we're going to have tag teams, but will we be able to create stables and factions in UPW also?
Yeah.
All right.
That's the short answer.
Yeah, that sometimes it is that simple. Yes, you can. Do characters evolve with time as the decades go on? Yeah, NMNT wants to basically know if they age.
So that's an idea that we want, but we're not sure. We can't 100% confirm that at this stage. It's something that we've been talking about since I started developing the career mode. Because obviously the career mode does go through 80s, 90s, and all that stuff. So if the characters they get a new sort of costume every year, they get an additional 4 attires. So as the years go on, we basically would have to. I mean, you could probably do it yourself, to be honest, in the Creator Wrestler. Just apply the kind of wrinkles, change the body shape a little bit. So even if we don't do it,
body shapes change when we get older.
So if it's something that we don't have as a feature, like they naturally grow throughout the career, which I think we will, but I just can't 100% confirm. But if not, it's something that you should be able to, once you finish the career mode and everything's unlocked, and then it's completely open, like sandbox experience. You can go in, edit everyone, do whatever you want.
Okay. I never even thought about a game that would have an aging factor to a wrestling game, but that's cool. All right, Mr. Dubs here. Let's see what's he got here. What types of weapon grapple moves are we thinking of implementing? Like the White Russian leg sweep, Van Daminator, that type of thing.
I mean, the Van Daminator, because I'm such a big RVD fan. Definitely want all this stuff. It's kind of hard because I was thinking about it the other day. AKI doesn't really have that mechanic of you've got a weapon in your hand and you do a grapple. Mm-hmm. So you can't really turn a weapon into a grapple weapon move in a way that AKI did it. We have to kind of do something new. But there's loads of moves. Yeah, Russian leg sweep with like this, while you're still holding like Singapore K and all that stuff. Like, there is grapple weapon moves. So it's definitely something that we're going to look at. We've just not thought too much about the mechanics of it just yet.
Okay, and further into his question, but kind of piggybacking off of it, would you be able to use one of those moves as a finisher?
Maybe. I'm thinking like, in the AKI games, of course, you had your main special move, which is just a front lockup, but you also had a corner special move that changed if you had your special. So if you had a weapon in your hand and you had your special, very possibly you'd be able to do something that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Okay, cool. All right, that takes care of that one. So then we have Aunt Maurizio, and folks, like I said, we want to get everyone represented on the show as much as we can, but try to keep it to 1 or maybe 2 questions. This one's got 5, so we're just going to have to cherry pick a little bit here and go with, let's see. When will the next run of gameplay footage be released?
Not for a while, because everything that we're doing right now is creating animations. We have a big list. Actually, that's something I'll kind of go a little bit into. Initially, and for people in the Discord, I made a sort of dev vlog, and I had this idea of we'll take 2 characters and I'll basically interact with the community to see what moves I should apply. But actually, a decision has kind of changed that, because I thought, well, the trailer kind of showcases all the characters that I came up with. But obviously now we're working with Hal Haney, and he's got a bunch of his characters. So I thought the demo shouldn't actually be 2 of my guys, because people have already seen those. So the demo is actually going to be 2 of Hal's characters, which is Oliver Buckingham. He's the heel. And the blue collar Bill Dollar is the face. So those are the 2 characters that we're going to use for the demo. And so I thought, well, actually, these are Hal's characters. So I said to Hal, maybe a way that we could do this is if he actually goes into No Mercy and applies the moves that he would want his characters to have, then that will give us a list of priority moves. We'll work on them first. So that's what we've done now. We've now spent the past couple of days building out a spreadsheet that just every single move in the AKI games we now have listed on this big spreadsheet. And
how many moves would that be, by the way? Because it seems enormous.
I've not counted them up, and in fact, it's kind of hard to count them up because some of them are used twice. Like like a standing strike will be used when you're just standing, but it's also used if the opponent's in the turnbuckle. So like sometimes you get the same move repeating throughout. So even if we were to work out the exact number of all those moves, it wouldn't actually represent the real number.
Doubles.
So yeah, we know that there's, because we did this before where we worked out all the animations that we're going to have to do, all the base animations. And we know, like, this is not creating any additional moves on top of it. This is just all the moves from No Mercy. We actually did do a calculation on that a while back, and I remember it being over 1,000.
Yeah, that was my guess too. It was at least 1,000. I
think it was around 1,300.
Yeah,
that's including all the taunts, which there's just so many taunts that, and especially we won't need all those animations for the base game. So actually helping Hal going through No Mercy and applying all the moves really helps us, because it's just it's a much shorter list that we can get through. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing for the next couple of months. We're just going to be grinding out the animations. Another thing as well is that the gameplay mechanics, the way that I'll get a little bit technical, but basically the way the game works just now, there's a sort of animation state system, and the way that it loads just now, I don't want to get too technical actually, because there's no point. But basically, the way that we've got it just now, it's very, very difficult to blend between animations, and especially if we want to include like facial animations when someone gets hit. You want their face to change and show pain and all that. And so we're struggling to blend the animations with the system that we've got. So while I've got everyone else working on the actual animations, I'm going to be spending the next month just going through the core mechanics and almost rebuilding it so that we can have it, the animations blend, everything will be smoother and all that stuff. So while all that's going on, we're not going to be able to produce any gameplay, because the other thing as well is, if we produce gameplay that's not smooth, that the animations don't blend, people will see that and think, oh, this is the finished product, and it's not. So,
and they always do that, no matter what you put on a trailer. Even though you say games in they just jump to conclusions.
And you can put in the description box, this is just early footage. It doesn't matter,
Exactly.
People don't read that; they just see what's in front of them. So, yeah, we'll be a few months working on the animations and doing a lot of refinement to the core gameplay mechanics before we're able to release anything.
All right. Moving right along, we've got Hitman Show Off. Is there a way to activate a 2D cartoon referee like the ones in Revenge or WrestleMania 2000? A Sam Valley cartoon for your past as a referee would be great. Even better with Hal designing.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny, actually. Yeah. We don't have any system in place just now for that. I mean, that's not too hard. That's not like a big challenge to implement that. Had we not reached the goal where we're going to have an actual referee in the ring, I maybe would have looked at that a bit more. I definitely like the idea of having that as a throwback. So possibly. But I'd say for at least for the demo, that won't be something that would be in it.
But now we actually have a referee in the ring.
For the demo, probably not, because that again would require animating all the different referee mechanics and all that stuff, and the AI with the referee. So that would delay the demo quite a bit more if we were to do that. So the demo is going to be just one-on-one, no referee in the ring, so that we can get it out as quickly as possible.
But when the game does come out, that's not that fire alarm I was worried about, is it?
No, I don't know what that was. A car, anyway.
When the game does come out, though, there's going to be a referee in the ring.
Yeah. When the final version of the game gets released, or I should say the full version. It'll never quite be final because I'll always continue to release updates.
Yeah, I even when I do videos and stuff, I'll look back. I should have done this different. I should have edited this. We're always picking apart our own work. That's just the way it is. All right. Well, you already touched on this. Jason Tataki was asking that once the Kickstarter's done, is there going to be another way that we can help raise money for the game? What was the name of that thing that you're looking into?
So yeah, there's Slacker Backer. Also, if anyone wants to donate just for the sake of donating, because obviously we didn't reach the final goal. We do have there's a tip system on Twitter. We've got a Patreon obviously as well. We're looking into having sort of an Ultra Pro Wrestling shop where we will maybe do T-shirts, and especially with Hal involved as well, we could get some of Hal's designs on a T-shirt. Which would be really good because that would be some extra money for Hal as well. So, and
I think those things will sell like hotcakes because some of these characters, or even put 5 of them together or something like that, like I do in my thumbnails. These characters are just designed to sell.
Yeah, well, I was going to. Hal has an idea concept for a sort of collage, but I won't go into it because I don't know if he wants to release any information about that just yet.
That's fine. And I did send him a link too, but I don't know what his schedule is. So
I think he's on vacation just now, actually.
Slacker. All right, we have D Lawless says, how many backstage areas will there be, and how will you get to them? Will it be like No Mercy and you whip them towards the area, or will it be like Here Comes the Pain where you have to walk up and press a button?
I sort of just assumed I would do it the same way that No Mercy did it, where you throw them. I don't know, maybe going up and pushing the button. I'll have a think about that. That's interesting. But how many backstage areas will there be? So there'll be, I think, a sort of a small, medium, and large version of backstage area that will change depending on what arena you're in. And also, as well as going back through the backstage area from throwing them up the ramp, because we're going to introduce wrestling in the crowd. There might be some fire doors and stuff like that you'll be able to throw them through as well, and you end up in a different part of the backstage area. So that's an idea as well. And then, of course, as well as having small, medium, and large, if you go to Japan, the backstage small area, it'll be the same shape, but the textures will all be different. So it'll feel like you're in a different environment there as well.
That's cool. Jay Carey says, with looking at making the game have no needs for mods, are you looking to create a move type feature where animations can be spliced to make moves, or similar to Fire Pro Wrestling? So basically, I think what he's asking is, can you make your own moves by maybe cutting one move into another to create another? They used to have those creative finishers in the 2K, or even before that with THQ, I think.
Yeah, we won't have it in the same way that I know the No Mercy mod community have a download patch thing that you can basically, it gives you like a move editor where you can splice together things. The problem is some people do a great job with that, and shout outs to Retro Randy. He does a great job of splicing these moves together, making them look smooth. But if you open that up to everyone, there's a lot of moves that don't look smooth, that look very janky. And if you just have everyone being able to create that, and then you play online against someone and they pull out this crazy janky move, it doesn't really look good for Ultra Pro Wrestling. So we wouldn't have it quite to that degree. But I definitely like the idea of trying to think of the way to describe it. maybe move creation isn't the right way to describe it, but the idea that I'm playing around with just now is that you'd be able to modify a move for certain people. So like maybe someone does a power bomb and maybe the landing is a little bit weak, but then the other guy does a power bomb and you're able to, there'll be like a slider, and you'll be able to make it so that the impact is much harsher. So that's an idea. Again, we're fleshing that out though. It's not something I can guarantee or confirm 100%, but it's an idea that we want to implement, because then it just makes the game a lot more varied and all the rest of it.
All right. Question I've got actually just popped into my head. Are there going to be in the game itself? There's like a universe mode, right?
Yes. The career mode is the only one right now that we've got that's kind of like that.
Okay. How much of that do we control? In other words, are there going to be promo spots? I think we talked about this, but I don't remember if we ever landed on an answer. Is there going to be promo spots where you could actually have a wrestler just in the ring, another guy comes out, confronts him, that type of thing, or even somebody interviewing, like an interviewer, like a Vince McMahon interviewing the talent in the ring?
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure the limitations of it, but yeah, there will be elements where the guy that you're in a rivalry with is in the ring talking smack, and you'll be backstage. You'll be able to keep an eye on what he's doing, but then if you go up to the gorilla position, you'll have a bunch of options where you can choose
his ass.
out. And it'll be up to you at what point you want to step out. So if you step out at the right moment, then that increases popularity and all that stuff.
All right.
Whereas if he just says your name and then you step out, that might not be, that might not increase your popularity.
Okay, good. Mr. Dubs says, for online, will it be possible to play with a friend versus a CPU? So basically he wants to know if him and his buddy want to be a tag team, but they don't want to maybe deal with people that are toxic online and want to go with the computers. Can they do that?
I was going to say yes. But now I'm just thinking actually because there's online, but then there's online ranked. So ranked, I think you would have to be against another person.
Right.
If you're doing it ranked and you're only playing against the computer, I'm not sure about that. I don't think you'd be able to do that. But yeah, there should be. I mean,
it sounds like he's asking. In other words, like back in the day, you and your brothers and friends would sit in one room with the controllers, but nowadays everyone's spread out. So basically, can we have an electronic living room?
Yeah. You'll be able to create like a lobby and add friends. It just won't be ranked, I think.
Right. Okay, that's perfect. I think that'll make him very happy. The Best Moves Guy Indies, that's the name, says, I love the shows. Oh, no, we already covered that. Sorry, moving on. What kind of special match types will we get? We've already kind of gone over this, but he lists, and just say yes or no as I run down his quick list here. Ladders?
Yeah.
Tables?
Yes.
Elimination Chamber type?
Not sure.
Okay. Anything in the way of either ambulance match, which I've seen nobody do?
Not sure.
Okay. And then anything like casket or buried alive, anything along those lines?
See, what I would say is probably not for the initial release of the full game. But I mean, these are staples of wrestling throughout the years and all that stuff. So it's very likely we'll have some variation of that eventually.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Justin, somebody had to go here. Justin Raphael says, will there be death matches in the game like from FMW, Big Japan, with the lights and the boards and the explosions and all that good stuff?
Again, I'm not entirely sure about the initial release, which is fine because the initial release, the career mode in that release is more focused on the 80s. So it might be that when we release the update with the 90s version, the 90s chapter of the career mode, then that'll come with a bunch of these new matches and a bunch of like maybe an FMW type promotion where those matches kind of are built into the career mode.
And so these different decades are going to be like content that will follow the release. It won't be all like you won't have 80s and 90s right at the beginning. You'll have 80s at the beginning.
Yeah.
Great. That's good for replay value. Keeps freshening it up every other. How often do you think it'll be on the gap between like the 80s and then the 90s dropping?
It's so hard to say because again, it's like once the game comes out, if the game does really well and we can hire a bunch more people, we can get that done a lot quicker. But if the game comes out, and I mean, it seems like it'll do well, but if the game comes out and it doesn't do as well, then it'll take us longer because less people we can hire and all that. But I'm pretty confident that we'll be in a good position to get out fast.
Capitalism 101, folks. Money makes it happen. Well, let's see. Red Jester says, will there be a heel and face character variations? I don't know what a variation would be. I mean, like Austin looked the same whether he was a heel or a face.
Oh, right. So like different costumes.
Well, variations. I mean, what other?
Yeah, well, so the way that it works just now is that every year a character has 4 attires. So those 4 attires correlate, or sorry, they actually have 5 because you have your backstage attire as well. But those 4 attires correlate with spots in the year. They don't correlate with whether or not you do a face or heel turn. But I guess you could load it into the game that you decide that your character takes his face or heel turn at this certain point, and then that's when you can go in and edit and change the costume for that. In the career mode, if you turn heel, you won't automatically get a new costume. It's just a bit too. It adds more sort of complication to the program to do it that way. Actually, just shout outs to Red Jester there. He's the guy that came up with the concept of the logos.
Oh yeah,
the AKI logos and changing them to hyper focus games. So
very good. Let's
A major.
Oh, that's the wrong button. There we go. Yeah, that's for Red Jester. Next question in there from another person here, which is Jay Barnacles, but kind of piggybacks off of this one, which was, in No Mercy, each of the 4 attires could have different entrance music / video. Will this be the case with UPW?
You will be able to change certain things. And in fact, actually, yeah, probably entrance music, all that stuff. The one thing you won't be able to change with each different attire is moves. That's just
that stays.
Yeah. The moves are tied to a year, basically.
Okay. Barnacles also asked, in the Aki games, that's easier for me. There was only one spear animation, but Rhino's gore, Goldberg's spear, and Edge's running hug were all different. Any plans on different spear animations?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I think for the initial release, we'll have the sort of AKI ones because that's our base. But yeah, going from there, once we've got that base down, it's going to be, I don't want to say easy, but it's going to be easier to make all the different variations. And again, if we have an intensity slider, which is something I'm hoping we'll be able to implement, then you could have, Edge set at 0, Rhino kind of in the middle maybe, or in Goldberg towards the end.
Cool. Let's see. Ray Jacobs wants to know, says, no rush on this, just looking the fact that you're going with 100 characters at launch. Will there be any more future characters added after the game's released? And also, how many created slots will be available to players in the game?
So created slots, we want to make it like Fire Pro, where it's just the game just kind of searches for a text file, basically. And that's how it knows how to load in how many characters. So that should be basically down to your own hardware storage. What was the first part of that question again?
That it's starting with 100 characters in the game, but are there going to be updates from HAL, for example, like after a couple months goes by?
Yeah, I think so. I think 100 is kind of the base, but and that might be that the 100 are what the game starts with when the initial release comes. But then maybe when the 90s comes in, it'll be those same characters transitioning through to the 90s, but we might also then add in another promotion and another bunch of characters here and there. So yeah, because who knows what the end result of all this will be in terms of the number of characters.
Iron Giant Butthole. I love these names. Well, and to follow that up, here's his question: what steps are being taken to not release another Pro Wrestling X into the world? I don't even know what Pro Wrestling X is. So,
Pro Wrestling X was a game that, again, it wanted to be the spiritual successor. It wanted to try and mimic that game engine.
it didn't do so well.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think they kind of got stuck in a little bit of development hell, which happens. The one thing that I kind of noticed because I followed it a little bit, and there was just certain things like the ring is massive, and like the turnbuckles are really disproportionate to what No Mercy would have been. So they kind of went for, like, I'm going for that sort of almost Disney Infinity sort of stylized look. But I also kind of want to maintain some of the proportions of No Mercy, some of, like, and obviously the gameplay mechanics and like the size of the ring. I mean, actually, what we're doing is we want the 20-foot WWE ring, but we also want an 18-foot and a 16-foot. We want different size of rings that represent real life. Whereas I guess they kind of went more in an exaggerated direction. Yeah, we're not actively like, it's not like we're sitting here going, oh well, what did Pro Wrestling X do? Well, we won't do that. You know, we're only looking at AKI and seeing what they did and trying to do that.
And you've got, like I said, that big roadmap to help you out by having. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. M. Dickey's not the one that had the mapping for.
Oh, Melon Bread.
Melon Bread. There you go. Couldn't get it in my head. So you have a big advantage over what they had.
Well, that's the thing as well. Yeah, I mean, like if you replicate the engine to the degree where it looks like the animations and the moves and everything plays out like No Mercy, but you don't have the all the other mechanics that come along with it, like the health and, you know, how health recovery and all the sort of that internal stuff. If you don't have that, then although an animation can look like it feels like an AKI game, but when you play it, it wouldn't. So yeah, the fact that we've got Melon Bread with all the information, that's all the stuff on the wall there. All those tweets, I just print them off and put them up, and I'm like, yeah. So yeah, the fact that we've got all that to work with is a massive difference between what we're doing and what any other game would be doing.
And I'm willing to bet that Pro Wrestling X probably didn't have access to that information. So
I wouldn't assume so, no.
Jason again is back here. Let's see. I was wondering, what do you think we will find out about the winner of the raffle to work with? When do you think we'll find out about who the winner is from the raffle to work with Hal creating a superstar?
Yeah, so Kickstarter takes 2 weeks from when it ends to process all payments. So we can't do the raffle and then announce a winner and then everyone else who's bought the raffle tickets just go in and cancel their the raffle pledges. So we actually have to wait until that 2-week period is over. Then I'll need to go. Kickstarter's pretty good. It's got lots of tools for being able to find who backed what. So I'll compile a list. There's also people, and don't worry, I won't forget about you. There's people that weren't able to add it on, but they've messaged me to say that part of their pledge is going towards the raffle tickets. So that'll all get added in as well. We'll have a big list of everyone that's bought the raffle tickets. We'll assign them all raffle numbers, and I'll email everyone the raffle number. And then we're going to do it on this show as soon as the next show is once it's all done. As soon as the next show comes around, we'll find a way of having a random number generator, and we'll do it live. Well, I think we might even have Hal on here as well.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we'll do like a live draw, and that'll be cool. And hopefully the person that wins will be in the chat, and we'll be able to sort of celebrate with you as well.
Yeah, we can even, if you're in the chat, we can throw you a link and you can come on screen with us.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I do have a question. Someone asked me during one of my streams recently, which just popped back into my head. Correct me if, well, obviously the campaign's done now, but if somebody wanted to get one of those belts, is there a way they can come up with the money and still get one, or is there a cap on how many belts are being made and that's it?
No, there's not a cap. There's and there's still a bit of time before they'll they'll go into production. So again, I don't know the best way of doing it. It might be through that Slacker backer if we get that set up.
Okay.
There's a possibility we can work that out and add in more belts, because we ended up selling more belts than we anticipated. So
that's a good problem.
Yeah. But as far as I know, I spoke to the guy from the belt company, and there doesn't seem to be any issue with limited amounts, which I initially thought there would be. But yeah, he seems fine to fulfill any orders we can get. So
capitalism, I love it. Last question. Dookie Wilkos wants to know, what about downloading other people's creations? So basically an online community where we can download each other's work.
Yeah, that's quite a high priority, because again, what we kind of expect is that there will be people out there that spend a lot of time, even with the texture edit system, making, like, if someone spends like 3 days making a perfect representation of one of RVD's, dragon outfits, which I think it'll be hard to do, but I know there's someone out there that will be able to do it. You don't want every individual person tasked with having to do that. So being able to create an item like that and share it, that would be awesome. We kind of have to have that.
One of the things I've learned in the last several years, especially doing what I do, is that there is an incredibly talented creation mod community, and not even mod, just creation community out there.
Yeah.
Often making better content than what the game releases and scans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they will find a way to make something look a whole lot better than you thought was even possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, that's all they do. They don't play the game. I've got so many people that tell me, and it amazes me, I've never played the game. I just create stuff on it. They, like, again, Disney Infinity, they want to build this stuff. They're not so much into playing it. It's like they'll build a Disney Infinity game and give it to their kids to play, but they don't play it.
Yeah, well, hopefully our gameplay will be better than 2K. So
it'd be hard not to be. I mean,
well, I guess it's hard for me to really criticize, because people know, like, I've not played those games too much. So any criticism from me, take it with a grain of salt. But from what I've heard, people aren't happy with the gameplay, and
no.
So hopefully, they'll create our guys in Ultra Pro Wrestling, and they'll actually want to use them and play in matches and stuff as well. So.
Yeah, if I didn't have the UPW roster in this year's game, I'd already be putting it away. It's the truth. I mean, it just frustrates the tears out of me that year after year we keep getting the same. Everything that's wrong this year was perfectly fine last year, the year before, the year before. It's like there was never an issue with all these things.
Yeah.
And now you look at a laundry list of problems that never existed before.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you guys do? They took away. I'll give you one quick example, and then we can cut.
Sure.
They have the ability to set up a tag team entrance, for example, and several different ones, maybe 20, 30 different variations of the type of entrance you can do. So it might look like the Hart Foundation, might like whatever it is.
Is this the thing that they locked? They had something locked.
Very close, yeah. Then they have a trios version.
Yeah.
And they have a lot less version or options there, but they have, maybe 7 or 8. Yeah, it's locked, and everyone's like, wait a minute, where's the trios thing? That was done by design because it crashes the game. It never did before. What'd you guys do? It's like Tommy Boy when he gets to the gas station, the door falls off, and what'd you do? That's all I can think of. It's like, it was perfectly fine when we went in the store.
Oh man, yeah,
you're lucky, man. They set such a low bar.
Well, I mean, the thing is with those types of games, they know that the audience is there. With what we're doing, we don't know that the audience is there. We've had to.
They're there.
You have to show them, like, this is what we're going to do. The gameplay is going to be this.
This is what's really important about what you're doing, what Virtual Basement's doing, what AEW might do eventually. Who knows? There's been no competition. That's why they can do this and get away with it. Nobody else is releasing a wrestling game. They'll take whatever we put out there, and they're right. But now there's going to be 3 or 4 different options. I have not talked to a single person who's not going to get these other games. And by the time you spent that money, guess what, 2K? We don't have money for you anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah, well, this may be what it takes to shake them up a bit.
I couldn't agree more. But at that point, the horse has gotten out the barn. So good luck. Well, I appreciate your time. We'll just keep on racking these questions up for those of you that have more questions, or if we didn't get to one in particular, because like I said, some people had 4 or 5 questions. We're trying to keep this to 30 minutes. Repost the one we didn't get to that you want answered on the next thumbnail, which will be up in a couple of hours on the community tab, and we'll get to it next week, which should be the 10th if my math is correct. Sounds like it.
Yep.
All right. Well, sir, I thank you for your time and everybody there in your studio and the hard work, and we are just anticipating each and every week. Can't wait. Hello again. Can't wait to see what you guys start putting out here. Always a pleasure. And until next week, from the control center, we'll see you again real soon.